Hi, welcome back. We're going to talk about adding and subtracting signed numbers today. So our objective is to review how to add and subtract signed numbers. Gotta set my pen. I shouldn't do this before I click record, but oh well. There we go. All right. Adding real numbers. If the signs are the same, this is the technique you will use if you're adding two positive numbers or you're adding two negative numbers. What you would do is you would add the numbers just as if you were counting, so you're going to get more of the same thing, then put the common sign in front of them. For example, if we are adding a positive 4 and a positive 4, right? So you're going to put down 4 yellows and then put 4 more yellows down. You're going to get a total of 8 yellows. You see how you just get more of whatever is the common sign? You get more of whatever is the common sign, all right? If we had a negative 4 plus a negative 4, think of negatives as red. If you put 4 reds down and then you add to it another 4 reds, then you get 8 reds, or a negative 8. So whenever you add two negatives, you're going to get a negative sum. Let's try negative 2 plus negative 9, all right? I put down 2 reds. I put down 9 reds. I add them together and I have 11 reds, so that would be a negative 11. You try this next one, hit the pause button, and then come back when you're done. All right, welcome back. We have negative 8 plus negative 12. All right, so I put down 8 reds, I put down 12 more reds, and so I end up with 20 reds. So negative 20. Now, if we're adding real numbers, but they have different signs, then it's like removing pairs of like red and yellow. We've done this with algebra tiles. It's like removing all the pairs. Every pair of red yellow gets pulled off, and so you end up with only what's left over. Okay? So you're going to take the difference. Different signs mean you take their difference. Okay? So take the largest number minus the smallest number, then use the sign of the one that you have the most of. If you have more negatives, then your sum is going to be negative. If you have more positives, then your sum is going to be positive. Let's see what it looks like in an example. If we have a positive 4 plus a negative 5, all right? I have different signs, so I take their difference. 5 minus 4 is 1. Now I look and see, do I have more positives or do I have more negatives? Well, in this case, I have more negatives. So my answer has to be negative 1. Right? Positive 4 plus negative 2. I have different signs, so I take the difference. That gives me a 2. Now I ask myself, do I have more positives or do I have more negatives? Well, in this case, I have more positives. So my answer has to be positive. All right? The definition of subtraction. All this time in elementary where you were learning subtraction facts, you were actually adding the opposite. So anytime we see a subtraction like x minus y, we can always rewrite it as adding the opposite. Notice how we took this subtraction sign and made it positive. Then we took the positive y and made it a negative y. Okay? It's kind of more difficult to think of it that way for like simple things that we've done. 7 minus 4 is 3, because we've learned that so and it's part of our brain, but that's the concept behind this. And this technique actually works better when you're subtracting off negative numbers, because watch what happens. We have 7 minus a negative 4, okay? So we're going to rewrite it as add the opposite. So I leave my first term exactly the same, 7. I change subtraction to addition because I'm adding, and then I take the opposite of negative 4. The opposite of negative 4 is positive 4. So it ends up 7 plus 4 equals 11. We're always going to change it to add the opposite. The opposite means flip the sign. We have used this negative symbol in 3 unique ways. We use it to represent adding the opposite, or what we used to call subtraction, such as 9 minus 5 equals 4, or 9 subtract 5 equals 4. Okay? We've also used it to represent negative numbers such as negative 10, negative 2, negative 3, everything, the integers that lie to the left of 0. Now we're going to use it in a term that we've alluded to for the opposite. The opposite of 8 is negative 8. The opposite of negative 8 is positive 8. The opposite. And in any problem, the negative sign may be used for any of these ways. The meaning of the subtraction sign depends on the position in the algebraic expression. Okay, our examples so far have been very simple, okay? But once you start throwing in grouping symbols, things can get trickier, and you must follow the order of operations. Key concepts with grouping symbols is you want to perform the order of operations inside the grouping symbol first. If you have more than one grouping symbol, start with the innermost one and then clear out the next outer one, and then clear out the next outer one until you have none. Once all the grouping symbols are removed, then you're going to perform the order of operations to find the final answer. Let's start and do a couple of examples here. We have negative 6 minus bracket 2 minus parenthesis 8 plus 3 parenthesis bracket. So let's start right in here at the 8 plus 3. Okay, I'm going to switch to my pen real quick. Whoops. What happened here? 8 plus 3 is 11, so I have the opposite of 6 minus bracket 2 minus 11. Okay, so I got rid of this one. Now I have to get rid of this outer bracket, these rectangular brackets. So I go negative 6 minus, what's 2 minus 11? This is the same as adding a negative 11. Okay, so I have 2 plus a negative 11, that becomes minus 9. Okay, now this subtraction I want to change to add, and then I'm going to add the opposite. So I have negative 6 plus, this becomes a plus, and then I need to make this the opposite. 6 plus 9, negative 6 plus 9. Now all my grouping symbols are gone. Now I'm adding mixed different signs. So different signs mean I take their difference. 9 minus 6 is 3, and then I look to see what do I have the most of. I have the most positive, so this is a positive 3, and there's my final answer. Why don't you hit pause and try B on your own? Okay, welcome back. All right, on B, I'm going to start inside What is going on here? I'm going to start here. I can do these simultaneously, all right? So I'm going to rewrite my 5, right? Negative 3 minus 2. This is like add the opposite. So I have negative 3 plus 2, right? Negative 3 plus a negative 2. Negative 3 plus a negative 2 gives me a negative 5. Okay? Minus 4 minus 1. This is 4 plus a negative 1. That's 3. Okay? Now I'm going to simplify inside the bracket area. 5 plus, and now I have negative 5 plus negative 3. Okay? And that gives me 5 plus a negative 8. Now, again, I have different signs, so I take their difference. 8 minus 5 is 3, and then I look to see what do I have the most of. I have the most of negatives, so my answer is negative 3. Now, with fractions, this is going to combine what we've already learned about fractions, and I'm going to find a common denominator. So I'm going to look, does 3 go evenly into 12? Yes. Does 4 go evenly into 12? Yes. So my common denominator is 12, right? So what do I have to multiply 3 by to get 12? Well, that's 4, so that means I have to multiply 2 by 4, and that gives me 8. Minus, I'm going to use my brackets. I leave my 1/12 exactly the way it is, minus, and then I need to rewrite 1/4 in terms of 12. So what do I have to multiply 4 by to get 12? 3. So that means I have to multiply negative 1 by 3, and that gives me a negative 3. All right? I'm going to start by simplifying the inside. Okay? So I have 8/12 minus, all right? Then I have 1/12 minus a negative 3/12. So I need to add the opposite. So that becomes 1/12 plus 3/12. So that becomes 4/12. Now my denominators are the same, so I can just combine my tops. This becomes add the opposite. So that gives me 4/12. And now I check to see if I can reduce. 4 goes evenly into top and bottom, so it becomes 1/3. And that's my final answer. Lots to go on. If you need help with that one, go back and watch it again. All right? D, we want to consider these absolute value signs as grouping symbols. So do that first, just like we've learned, all right? The absolute value of 4 minus 7. This is 4 plus a negative 7. So that becomes the absolute value of negative 3. Plus 2 times the absolute value of 6 plus a negative 3. So that's the absolute value of 3. Now, the absolute value of negative 3 is 3 plus, then I have the absolute value of 3 is 3, and 2 times 3 is 6. So this becomes 3 plus 6 is 9. Okay. Keywords and phrases involving addition. Keywords, sum of. Let me get my highlighter. Okay, this is different. My highlighter sum of means you're going to add them, all right? The sum of -3 and 4. -3 plus 4. Keyword or phrase added to. 5 added to 8 would just be 5 plus 8. This means addition. Addition. More than. Not to be confused with is more than. Is more than would be an inequality, but this would be phrases like 12 more than -5. This right here, 12 more than. That's like in addition to. So that's -5 plus 12. Increased by. -6 increased by 13. -6 plus 13. Plus 2 plus -19 is just 2 plus and -19, just like this. That one is very intuitive. Write a numerical expression for each phrase and simplify the expression. The sum of, so that means add -8 and 4 and 6. So it's -8 plus 4 plus 6. Right? I'm just going to work from left to right in order that they occur because I don't have any grouping symbols. -8 plus 4. These are different signs, so I'm going to take their difference. That's 4. And I'm going to ask myself, what do I have more of? Do I have more negatives or more positives? Well, the 8 is the negative. That's more. Okay, so I have -4 plus 6. All right. Again, I have different signs, so I take their difference. And I ask myself, what do I have the most of? Do I have more negatives or more positives? I have more positives. And there's your final answer. Simplified expression. All right. Hit pause, try B, and then come back and see if you got it right. All right, here we go. 3 more than. This is not greater than. This is 3 is more than x plus 2. This is in addition to 3 additional over -5. So it's 3 plus -5 increased by 12. Okay? So I'm going to start inside here. And I get 3 plus, I have different signs. So I'm going to take their difference. And I'm going to see what I have the most of. I have the most of positives. So now 3 plus 7 is 10. 3 more than -5 increased by 12 is equal to 10. We could have also written it as 3 more than -5 and then increased by 12. Okay? We would have got the exact same thing. All right? These are some keywords that involve phrases where we're going to add the opposite. When you see difference between. When you see difference between, that's going to be a keyword that's going to help us add the opposite. So we would write the difference between -3 and -8. We might want to write it as -3 minus 8, but then we're going to want to change it to add the opposite. -3 plus, add the opposite, 8. I have different signs, so I take their difference. That's 5. And I ask myself, what do I have the most of? Do I have more positives or more negatives? I have more positives. Subtracted from. 12 subtracted from 18. All right? 18 is the number that has to be reduced, so it has to come first. 18 minus 12. So this is 18 plus a negative 12. I have different signs, so I take their difference. That's 6. And then I ask myself, what do I have the most of? Do I have more positives or more negatives? And I have more positives. That's a positive sign right there. Okay? From a number, subtract another number. So you'll see phrases like from 12, subtract 8. From 12, subtract 8. This is your first number. This is your second number. 12 minus 8. That's the same as 12 plus a negative 8. 12 plus a negative 8. What's the opposite of 8? Negative 8. All right, now I have different signs, so I want to take the difference. That's 4. What do I have more of? Do I have more positives or do I have more negatives? I have more positives, so my answer is positive. Less. 3 less 5. This is subtraction, okay? This is the same as 3 plus a negative 5, and that is negative 2. Less than, 3 less than 5. Remember, less than, this number, the one following the word than, the number following the word than, has to come first. 5 minus 3. So this is equal to 5 plus a negative 3. That equals a positive 2. Decreased by. 9 decreased by negative 4. 9 decreased by negative 4. So we're going to make this add the opposite. And I get 9 plus 4 is 13. Minus. 8 minus 5 is very intuitive. We've been doing that since elementary school. So that's 8 minus plus a negative 5 is equal to a positive 3. All right. Write a numerical expression for each phrase and simplify the expression. Just be careful when we're adding the opposite when we simplify. The difference between negative 8 and 5. We're going to do that right in the order that we read it. Negative 8 minus 5. Remember, we're going to take this and we're going to add the opposite. Equals negative 8 plus a negative 5. I have two negative numbers that I'm adding, so I have 8 reds that I put down. I put 5 more reds down, so I have 13 reds. So I have negative 13. 4 subtracted from the sum of 8 and negative 3. 4 subtracted from the sum of 8 and negative 3. So here's what we have to reduce. We have to take the sum of 8 and negative 3, and then we have to subtract 4. All right? So 8 plus a negative 3, do them in order. That is 5 minus 4. Okay? So that's like plus a negative 4. So you get 1. And then do I have more positives or more negatives? I have more positives. So it's a positive 1. Try C and D and come back and see if you got them right. Welcome back. 2 less than negative 6. Less than means I have to switch the order of my numbers. So I have negative 6 minus 2. Alright, I keep my first number the same, so I have negative 6, and I'm going to add the opposite, plus a negative 2. And that gives me a negative 8. 8 decreased by 5 less than 12. So I have 8 decreased by 5 less than 12. Here's where I have to switch. 12 minus 5. do what's inside here first. 8 minus 12 minus 5 is 7. So I have 8 plus a negative 7 gives me a positive 1. All right, here's the homework we're going to be doing for the next couple of days. We have lots of practice, so come ready to work problems. I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks. Bye.